Hello, everybody. It's Bubba Rob. How's it going? Hope everything's doing good. It's kind of a gray day here, actually. Sun's kind of trying to poke through. It's supposed to rain maybe this afternoon. It's starting in a couple of days. I can feel it in my arthritis, but anyways, oh well. That's what happens. It's life, right? It's kind of funny. Anyways, what I want to do is talk about compassion today. I was kind of thinking about it this morning as I was meditating. It's like, I have these ideas come to my head and go, geez, I think that's probably an important one. Because, in life, again, it's so easy to be judgmental and feel sorry for yourself. And I think sometimes we're a little bit oversensitive, maybe a little bit. We got to set up our boundaries. What do you do with people when they don't really adhere to your boundaries, and you tell them things and say, I don't want to hear that or whatever. And what I've learned, especially when it comes to things like family dynamics and friends that are close, that you might as well say they're family, right? You can easily, and I've done this, and I've done this lately, believe you me, is you can do something that's a little bit off color. You think it's funny. You've offended somebody. They've set up their boundaries, like, don't do that. And then there's only one thing you can do, is apologize, right? And people have, they have the right, whether or not they wish to accept the apology or not, right? So then once you put it out there, you try and make amends for what you've done. They either accept it or not. And where I'm getting with compassion with this is you need to have some feelings and understandings of the other person, have some compassion towards them, and also towards yourself. Because if you're not willing to let go of what's happened, and I'd say this is where the compassion comes in, then it's something that could really affect the relationship you have with the other individual or individuals in a negative manner. Is this kind of making sense? I hope so. Because when I talk about being kind to yourself first, right? You have to have some compassion with yourself, and you forgive yourself for making a mistake or doing something that may be offensive to somebody else. Because the majority of people, I don't care, who thinks what, I suppose, but, we don't, for the most part, I don't believe as a human being, we intentionally go out to do stuff to offend people on purpose. There's a few exceptions in this world, and they're usually called sociopaths or psychopaths, where they just really don't care. But for the most part, it bothers people if they've made a mistake or they've offended somebody. So it's those people, like myself, for example. I have to have compassion for myself and forgiveness and apologize and move on. That's about it. I find if we really practice that, and it's much easier to get through on a daily life. Like, I find people can be like very hypocritical, say, for example, the homeless, right? I could be driving downtown. There's quite a big homeless issue, especially with people, I'd say, in their late teens, 20s, early 30s, especially in dealing with drug addiction, right? Substance abuse. And whenever there's substance abuse, then it's a mental health issue, right? You can't say there's one without the other, because that's just what happens. I mean, I know I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but I've seen enough of it in my life. I've dealt with enough of it with people, especially with what I used to do for a living. That's just the way it is. Now, I have a choice when I go downtown or when I see somebody who's going through that. I can either pass judgment, say, oh, that person's just a loser. Look at that. They got a drug problem. Oh, right? That's what a lot of people do. Or they get scared. Oh, I don't want to deal with that person. Oh, this scares me. Why isn't people doing something about it? Right? Then we're passing judgment on somebody where we don't know what's happened to them to put them in that predicament. We usually blame the system for those things happening to that person. And, we really don't know what's happened. We've got no idea, right? Or you can have a little bit of compassion and say maybe hello, or say nothing. Don't stare at people because they're having an issue. Maybe just be thankful that it's not you. Because, it can happen to just about anybody at any time. You could have a stroke like I had, and I had no idea I had one. It could, those things like that can affect your, life-altering decisions, your ability to earn an income. You could end up with, some physical disabilities. There's all sorts of things that can happen to people that they got no control over. And if you think of them poorly or look at them strange, you're really showing a lack of humanity and no compassion. We really need to think about these things, about how we treat our fellow human beings. It's important, right? It's really important. It's there's just I find it's just not good. I mean, it's like a YouTube channel that gets millions of views filming people down on their luck. Why would we even watch that? Why would a person even take the opportunity to go film something like that to humiliate people for clicks and views? Right? It's not right. If you want to do a documentary on homelessness and do your research and say do some interviews and talk to people with what they're going through in a respectful manner, that's completely different. Completely different. Right? I don't believe myself to become a better human being on a daily basis and following, say, stoicism, right? Reading, trying to do the best I can for other people and humanity. I got to have some compassion for the people who are down, and I got to have compassion for myself when I make mistakes so I can do what is right and move on and continue to grow. Simple. Anyways, I hope this little chat helps somebody. I think it's important we put the good out for humanity. Every day is a good day. Tomorrow, we may never know if we're going to get up. Hopefully, I get up. All right? Move on. Enjoy my life. Okay? Anyways, I'm going to sign off now. I hope you have an awesome day. I love you all. You be good. Remember, the most important thing, to be a good person, stoic, just a good human, is to be kind to yourself. Okay? Love you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.